take over.
Yeah. Because it's more understanding than anything. It's more they are more understanding.
One thing there is that change is the only thing that is constant. In this era, if you say that you wouldn't want your children to learn through AI or what, that means you don't understand the extent that AI is going. Yes, of course, they must have to learn through the use of AI, but that cannot replace the involvement of human beings because AI may be efficient, but it doesn't have that empathy that human beings have. So there are certain things embedded in nature, made by God Himself, that no technology can reproduce. And those things are why we cannot ignore certain other things that must be brought in, even as we use technology. But as for whether I would want my children to imbibe the AI stuff, that one is certain because this is the era for it. A lot of things are now being done using AI.
I prefer human being. AI is a robot. It's not everything that he knows. But human being, naturally, there are some things he explained. It's not just how do I put it? It's not. It's sometimes you ask question and human being explain with nature, but robot don't know anything about nature. He cannot explain. It's only what he thinks is better. Let me just say, some most of the time, ask AI a question, he will say he don't know it. But as a human, once you are educated and you exist, you just have a little reference to what someone as even if you cannot tell the full detail of that, but you can give out something that the person will hold on.
I trust AI to educate me because it's an artificial intelligence which can make you to be what to be computer literate that will guide you, and also you can use
Very careful with what our children see online. So if my child is above 16, I can trust AI. But below that age, I wouldn't want to because of what is in the internet these days.
The opinions on AI education are mixed. While some see it as future of learning, others remain cautious. One thing is clear: as technology shapes our classrooms, the conversation about trust, qualities, and human touch in education is only just beginning. I am Chinaza Ifeanyi, Aneke TV.
Welcome back. You're still watching Sunrise on Aneke TV. Now we'll be taking a look at trending still Nigerian stories. And our first headline here today says schools reopen in northern Nigeria. Schools in parts of northern Nigeria began reopening yesterday after months of closure caused by the mass abduction of hundreds of students last November. The federal government directed that academic activities resume in areas assessed as secure, though specific details of enhanced security measures were not disclosed. In Kaduna State, pupils, including boarding schools, returned to classrooms with mixed emotions, while many schools in central Niger State remain closed, especially in high-risk areas such as Papiri. Officials from the Niger State Education Ministry reiterated that student and teacher safety remains paramount before any further school reopening. Parents expressed relief that learning is restarting but stressed ongoing fears about kidnappings and violence in the region. And also a 17-year-old student said she missed being at school with friends and teachers even as her father acknowledged the difficult decision to send her back amid insecurity. Stakeholders, including Christian Association of Nigeria (CAN), noted that some communities will continue to delay resumption until greater safety assurance are provided. Now, as you can see from the news today, that some schools in the northern Nigeria are reopening since the school started opened yesterday after months. You could see that there have been cases of insecurity in northern parts of Nigeria where students were being abducted. Not only students but also teachers were being abducted during this period. And now there's controversies, or there are more concerns concerning parents and also students sending them back to school in fear of this insecurity or kidnappings resurfacing in some parts of northern Nigeria.
Well, I can tell you people for a fact that we can say, first of all, kudos to the federal government for restoring at some point for restoring security and enforcing security measures all over the places where these people have resumed for school. Of course, we just came out from the Yuletide, and I can tell you that from what we have seen so far, there is improvement. There is improvement, and students resuming in some parts of Kaduna and some parts of, especially the ones looking at what happened of just last year. I can tell you that for students to resume now, especially those people in the affected areas, I will tell you it's a progress to the security organization that as an institution we have in Nigeria. So I think, Ms. Uche, you would understand that we were, by this time last few months, we were panicking, and there were lots of kidnappings going on, and things that were coming up, and schools, unity schools had to close, because of those things. And just before the year came to an end, before 2025 came to an end, we saw that the people that were kidnapped from the Catholic school, they were restored.
They were returned, definitely, and we celebrated that as well. But I want to ask you this morning, if your ward or your kid were among the students that were kidnapped, and now school is resuming, what would be your position?
First of all, none of my word.
No, we are assuming.
Okay, we are assuming.
Yes, let's assume.
All right.
What would be your disposition?
Well, my disposition.
Would you want your kid to return to school like that?
First of all, as a parent, I am thinking that I need to see what has gone into the stability of security for my child. Okay. That's what I will see first.
Now, okay, let me say, as a mother, and you happen
in as much as education is important, security is more important.
Very important.
Now, as a mother or a parent, I would not let my child return back to school, especially given the period. Now, this happened in November, and we're just in January.
What that happened in November is, I mean, the restoration happened in November.
Yeah, it happened the time, the limits. They've been returned because you don't know the
resuming. Now, you know why I asked this question. You know, I was going to bring the people that were interviewed after they were returned and reunited with their family. Said that would not deter them from sending their wards to school. But the reality of it just dawned on me. You know why. We were discussing yesterday about school resumption, and this morning, you know, when you were talking about it, you were made obvious about the security situation in Niger State, for example. They are telling us this morning that the security of life and property and the welfare of the teachers as well, but most importantly, the security of the people and the teachers is paramount to them. And until that they see, you know, that is taken care of to a certain level, they won't be reopening the school like usual. So, and for me, I quite agree with that. That yes, there has to be some. You have to see, you know, evidence.
Like I said,
something has been done. You know, you have to see that something has been done. That your ones will be safe if they do return to school. Which is why I was asking that question. You know, because it has, for me, it takes bravery
to go back.
Well,
because imagine what if the children have gone to a trauma like that?
The trauma they've been through, and I doubt, and I wouldn't know though, I don't want to venture into that, if they were rehabilitated in terms of undergoing trauma care, psychometric reevaluation to see their condition when they returned, and now want to send them back to school.
To the same place.
Well, I can tell you that when you talk about all these things particularly, let them going through the rehabilitation, psychometric analysis in their brain, checking how their well-being, their mental well-being now. You know that these are children. And some things does not affect children now. It affects them when they grow up.
So certain.
No.
Sorry to cut in. Have you seen a kidnap victim before? A released kidnap victim?
Well, what we are talking about here are children who were kidnapped, children who were taken into captivity. We're talking about children who were taken into captivity, children that their age range.
Are you're thinking that
this is a secondary school?
No, I'm not saying there will not be a psychological thing. All I'm saying is there would be but the effect will not be so much obvious now. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Because when you look at, you will see a lot of young people misbehaving. Let me put it that way. They are young, they are misbehaving, and they can't trace what happened. It was just because, some time ago someone did this to them, but then it was not a problem. That's what I'm trying to say.
When you listen to
not that federal government should not take care of that.
When you listen to the girls that escaped, and even the testimony of some of the rescued or released Chibok girls, when they give account of their harrowing experience, you may begin to understand that these things will have impact.
Of course it will, but not it immediately. That's what I'm saying. So what I'm saying is not
when you mention school, these children will remember what they went through.
Now you are arriving.
Being carted away from your dormitory at 2 a.m.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
Always
now there is this fear.
There are days when in the hostel, I try to go back to my early days. When people had to run, you understand, late in the night, they will give allusion to one thing, and the whole hostel runs, everybody's running. The psychological impact is there. You can't move alone at night. You can't walk some corridors at night. There is always that psychological effect. And I imagine what it will be for these children. But by and large, governments need to speed action. And then this is one of the negative challenges that we face as a nation when it comes to security challenges. Beyond the kinetic approach, and when we see that these the communities are well placed, they are safe, what is the condition of the inhabitants of that area? We need to step up more action. There has to be orientation as well. If we're able to secure the environment to give people confidence to go back to the classroom. Do you understand?
Yes,
as a teacher, you wouldn't want to be employed.
Of course.
Let's say even coppers now choose where to go. They don't want to go into those places. No family will leave their ward to go serve in those areas.
The Nigerian Youth Service Corps, I believe they are as informed as we are. I mean, as the federal government themselves are in the matter, not to do some of those things yet, because not to put some of those people there yet. Looking at the size of and looking at the place where this person is coming from, I feel that they too should understand that there's a problem here. Until security.
NYC, when I started NYC, I wasn't talking about NYC wouldn't jeopardize any of the corps members to the security challenged territories.
Of course. They won't.
No teacher would want to go, teach in such communities. And even if they resume schools, the impact will be there. That's what I'm talking about. Due to this security challenge, you won't see most of the schools won't resume. They won't reopen.
They won't
until something, is done.
It's done. Yes. All right, thank you very much. Now moving over to the next trending story that says CAF launches investigation into AFCON violence. Now the Confederation of African Football has opened an investigation into violent incident after Nigeria's 2-0 quarter-final with over Algeria. Video showed Algerian players confronting the referee and clashes involving media personnel, and CAF has collected match reports and footage warning that disciplinary actions may follow. The Algerian Football Federation has formally complained about refereeing decisions, claiming they undermined fairness in the tournament. And yet, good hope this is your specialty.
Well, looking at what's happened over the time, just the complaint that Algeria national team had to file to CAF concerning the match against Nigeria. Of course, this started with the investigation that CAF had to launch before or after it was Algeria had to file, because you will see that the videos that were gotten, the videos that it was said that the video that was gotten, there were some miscreants from the Algerian side trying to deal with the match officials, and CAF has decided to launch deep investigation, deep insight into what happened. And Mr. Uche, you know that this thing used to happen a lot when some sides are not happy with what has happened with the football, with the match that they played. For instance, we see it most times happening in Nigerian Professional Football League, where this team that played home and this team that came to play away, both of them will just have some cantankerous issues because my team did not win you. So that will look into what CAF will bring on the whole thing will unfold as the days come by. That's what I expect.
One thing is that I would tell you that the action of the Algerian players were not sportsmanlike.
Of course, it was not sportsmanlike.
When you lose like a sportsman. There's no saying that yes, you may complain about events in the field, but you have to channel your complaints appropriately, not by confronting the referees. That's not sportsmanlike.
Well, if you watch the match, if you watch that Nigeria-Algeria match, you would see that there was a lot of issues. That there was a lot of kind of fights, fouls from Algerian players, because if you are a sportsman, when emotion of losing starts crawling in, you will start to misbehave a lot. These guys, I'm telling you, from that match, just go rewatch the 90 minutes, you will see that they had more fouls than Nigeria. Of course, we expected them to be at the level of our play. Even their captain came out to say, Riyad Mahrez of Manchester City, or former player of Manchester City, came out to say that he was not expecting such class display from the Nigerian national team. So they were thinking in their mind that these people who I'm going to play with, I'm talking about the Algerian people, that these people are just bred for us, that we can win them, play anything. But when they now saw the agility, just talking about Alex Iwobi too, seeing that Alex Iwobi is the right guy for the midfield, seeing Akko scoring that goal, scoring that wonderful goal against Zidane's son. Zidane's son was at the goal, scoring that wonderful goal against Zidane. And other things happening. Osimhen putting that header into the goal post. Everything just changed.
I understand that will well up emotions, but what I'm saying that being sportsmanlike is the ability to accept defeat also.
Yes.
Before you go into contest, you know that there has to be a winner and there has to be a loser. And you don't have to be a sore loser. Now that they fight complaints, against the referee's decision, and complain about fairness throughout the match,
they also have their issue.
Is the right thing to do, rather than confronting the referee on the field or resorting to underhands and violence in the field.
First of all,
but like we have been told, CAF say they are investigating. They have to wait for the outcome of their investigation, then we'll see what their judgment is.
Yes,
we'll have to be sportsmanlike,
of course,
whether lose or win.
All right, thank you very much for that. Well, now let's move over to the next trending stories or next trending news, where Rivers lawmakers step back from impeachment drive. Now, two Rivers State lawmakers have withdrawn from impeachment proceedings against Governor Similai Fubara and his deputy, Professor Ngozi Odu, calling for dialogue and peaceful resolution. Minority leader Silvanus Nwankwo and Peter Abi emphasized constitutional issues can be addressed without escalating tension. Political observers say the withdrawal could ease friction, but uncertainties remain over state governance and legislative cooperation.
All right, it's quite interesting to see that some members of this House, State Assembly, are having a change of mind, as evidenced by the minority leader and one of his colleagues, Silvanus Nwankwo and Peter Abi, calling on other members to suspend that they should tamper justice with mercy. But before we go into that conversation proper, let's call for the video where Silvanus Nwankwo and the colleague were making this appeal.
Okay. All right.
Good afternoon, gentlemen of the press. My name is Honorable Silvanus Nwankwo. I represent Omuma State Constituency at the Rivers State House of Assembly, and I'm also the minority leader of the 10th Assembly.
My name is Honorable Peter Abi, JP. And I represent Digima State Constituency in the House of Assembly.
Gentlemen, you are all aware that the Rivers State House of Assembly issued a notice of impeachment on the governor of Rivers State, Sir Siminalayi Fubara, and the deputy governor of Rivers State. But we have called this press conference to appeal to our fellow colleagues to tamper justice with mercy and to see how we can resolve this matter apart from the impeachment proceedings. That is why we are here this morning to appeal to the conscience of our fellow colleagues, having listened to so many pleas, calls from our elders and leaders, both within and outside the state, begging for leniency. We are begging, calling our colleagues to reconsider our step and see how this matter can be resolved amicably, even though the governor and the deputy governor has infringed on the constitution. But we are appealing on them to reconsider our stand. Thank you so much.
As the minority leader said, the governor, yes, he has infringed on parts of the constitution, but we are human beings, and we, as people, as members of the 10th Assembly, we want to plead with our colleagues to please reconsider. This, we have received calls from leaders, from people in River State, outside River State, and we see that you don't raise the axe and swing it as you raise it. So we plead with our colleagues to reconsider, to please reconsider, provided the governor too has a role to play. He too must make sure he doesn't infringe furthermore on the constitution. So that will bring an amicable and settlement to the whole thing. Thank you, and God bless you.
State members, begin to have a change of mind that some of their colleagues are calling on their members, to tamper justice with mercy. When I listen to him, deeply, we were hearing them say, yes, they know that the governor has breached some parts of the constitution with the deputy, but that they can have an amicable resolution of the issue without resorting to impeachment. And that's good for me. That's good. That's a good position to take on this. And bear in mind that even Pandef, all the elders in River State has come out to, plead to the amicable resolution of this issue without resorting to impeachment. And my position on this is that when you allow this issue around impeachment to continue, it may spiral into more crisis. Remember that this is a state that is just coming out from 6 months of state of emergency owing to crisis, where the president had to step in, to ensure that violence and that the state doesn't fall apart, to stabilize it. So for me, it's most importantly that all the political players in the state come together, have an expansive negotiation that is agreeable and implementable by all the parties involved to ensure peace for the sake of the people of River State. That's what matters for me.
Well, I think that this is a progress, but the reason for the impeachment, like it was said, like we discussed the other day, part of the reason has not been so obvious. And you know that this impeachment saga that started a few days ago, you know how it came about. It was we saw that someone, the leader of the House of Reps, Port was expressing his emotions, about the activities of the governor, the governance that has, that has resulted to a problem. Now, I will tell you that it is not from my own end. This is what they want, or this is what they are saying, and this is what they are now coming out to say, and we expect other people to come and join them, other of the lawmakers to join them later. But you know that there's an existing issue underlying about this whole game concerning Wike
See,
and
the
Fubara.
point here now is when you told that line, yes, we understand that there are underlining tones. Usually, when you talk about impeachment, there's always an underlining tone. But the point that is clear is that the 26 lawmakers have cited breach of constitution, and when you look at what will be, if the issue goes into the litigation, what will be, litigated will be the constitutional issues. Were they breached? The legality of the issues, the accusation that were leveled against the governor and the deputy. It won't be the underlining issues, because the lawmakers didn't bring up underlining issues.
True.
And you do remember that why I encouraged that they told the line of every opinion, an expansive meeting where everybody will air their views for the sake of the people rather than this impeachment. Do remember that this same issue was the same issue that was on the front burner, leading to the crisis that led to 6 months, state of emergency. And now that they are at it again, what you should talk about is the legality of the issue before the state assembly, leading to impeachment. So, but to sort this issue and the underlying issue, that's why there has to be this sort of approach, being told by the minority house member and calling on the colleagues, to pander to mercy rather, and tamper justice with mercy, forgive where they have to overlook and not toe the line of impeachment. And I think, like I did submit earlier on, that's the only way to engender lasting peace in River State. Because I tell you, if we continue to toe the line of impeachment, things will degenerate. If you go further to the news, you will see and hear that the governor said that he has not been served. He has not been served this process. And when we continue this hide and seek, I tell you, when two elephants fight, it is the people, the grass that will suffer. Yeah. And in this instance, the River State people are the ones that will suffer. Yeah. What I expect, like when we did talk on this issue, that now that the governor who is in APC is a supporter of the president, and the FCT minister himself is equally a supporter of the president, then there's only one person who can call them to order. He has done that severally, and he can do that again for the sake of the people of River State. When we told this argument, we will continue to sit here to argue on what should and what should not, but the basis here should be the people of River State. And this, on the interest of these people, I expect that Mr. President would intervene to halt this impeachment process. The state House members are all members of the APC. The governor is a member of the APC. The FCT minister that we talk about is a staunch supporter of Mr. President.
Well, he has no party yet.
No, it is not a question of party. There is only one, when you talk about the question here, one factor you get here is Mr. President, and he can give a political solution to this issue. Yes.
All right, thank you very much. Now moving over to our last topic for today. That says former AGF Malami faces arms probe. Former Attorney General of the Federation Abubakar Malami remains in custody as a fresh investigation unfolds following the alleged discovery of arms and ammunition in his residence in Kebbi State.
Well, yesterday was it last week or yesterday we had some conversations around this because of the issue of anti-grafting in
DSS and all that.
Bringing in this particular issue. Like Mr. Rez has asked the question, why are we, what led to the further investigations in his house? Of course, there are issues of alleged bribery and corruption and all those things. And I will tell you that locating arms in his house, I will use the words of Mr. Rex exactly, it could be, or it may not be. It could be, maybe it could be a setup, or we could say that this is actually why he did this. But since the anti-graft agency has not You know, since the verdict has not really gone, we could just leave it there and expect that at the coming days we will see what comes out of it. Because finally, look, when you go to someone like he is not a security agent. He is not. His gun is meant to be kept in. Even if he is, his guns are meant to be kept at the base or something. But finding it in his home would actually endanger or would raise concerns about the situation. So I think, Ms. Luce, it's looking like there are issues here that we may not have looked into.
Anyway, let's not speak to the underlying issues. While we deliberated on this very issue, we did tell the government that if there were merits to this case, they should prosecute. They should, follow it to the logical conclusion. If the ex-attorney general is found to have embezzled or, is found to have, been corrupt and in somehow, used the privileges of his office, on incorruptible manner, the federal government through EFCC can pursue the matter to a logical conclusion. But if you follow the news this morning, you see that the EFCC, upon further investigation, when they uncovered the arms, they did invite DSS, to take over the whole issue. It now becomes issues around security threats. How would an individual keep arms in his custody?
Yeah.
And when they are speaking to arms, you know that it wouldn't be just a one for
Yes,
protection.
yes,
So
yeah.
we're not told the quantity of the arms that we uncovered. But one thing is certain: let the investigation continue and be brought to a logical conclusion. One thing I wouldn't want in this issue is a media trial. Let the investigation be complete, and when he's found culpable, they should go to litigation. They should prosecute him. He is a lawyer, so he understands the legal
Process.
implications of all his actions. But for me, the underlying things here that I want to point out, especially those who are the levers of power now, those who are in power presently, especially, they should know that today they are in power, tomorrow they may be out of power. Yesterday, Malami was all powerful. He was in government. He was in power. People, sought to see him. People went to look for him, but he had to spend days in prison, being unable to meet his bail condition, and that should be a lesson to our leaders. So that's where I will leave it for now.
Well,
Alright, thank you very much for that. Well, that's the latest from Nigeria on Aneke TV. And always stay with us for more newspaper review here on Sunrise.
Alright, and let's take a rundown of the Nigerian stock market as yesterday. And when we take a look at the stock market as yesterday, we'll see that the market yesterday opened